Hi, I'm Duncan Charman. I've come to the River Loddon today for a few hours roving around the swims I know. Target species is a barbel. It's not the easiest river in the world anymore. It's got really tough, the fish are very localised, and you just have to keep moving around with a trusted method, dropping it in each swim, giving it 20 minutes and then moving on. As I say, it's not the easiest. Any barbel today would be, a result. Probably get the chance of a chub, and hopefully the crayfish won't be too much of a problem. So I'm going to drop in one of my favourite swims and see if I can get one in the, straight away. But again, I've just dropped in one of my favourite swims here. It's quite a good chub swim. You probably get as many chub as barbel in this swim. Not the best, it's much better in the depths of winter. But I've gone in there, I've just dropped the pellet lead in there, and within 30 seconds, bang, and I've just lost a chub. It didn't feel very big, but I think it was enough to actually spook them, because I've gone in again, had another bite, missed that again. And I think what happening is the chub just get hold of the bait, not the hook, they just pull it, and the chances are I'm going to sit there and waste my time now. So although there's chub there, I'm just going to give them half an hour, a couple of hours, go upstream, and I might drop back in there on the way back. Go. Literally that took seconds in a swim. I don't think it's a barbel, it's a chub. Might be a little barbel.
That's a little barbel.
A little barbel actually. Which is good to see in the Loddon. Come on you. Literally just dropped it in there. I thought it was a chub bite. Rod tip's gone round, and I think I'm going to get smallest barbel I've caught for many times on the Loddon. And there she goes. Well, there you have it. Not the Loddon specimen I was hoping for, but probably the smallest one I've had for probably a decade or more. Tiny little barbel, great sign for the future that the river's doing well. This one may well have been stocked, it may well be a recruitment from the larger ones in here, but any barbel on the Loddon nowadays is a result. You've got to understand that. I'm really happy with this one because, one, it shows it's great for the future that these small fish are here, and it's a bite on a method that I've used for so many years now, and it just keeps producing the goods. Haven't been here for a little while, third swim, bang, bite within about 30 seconds actually, so keep moving around and hopefully we'll get a bigger one later. Well, I've had that small barbel, and I've tried a couple of other swims, had a good knock in one, but obviously didn't come to anything. Crayfish are being a bit of a pain today, all the baits are nibbled away. And I've also just went upstream to a swim, and I've noticed that anglers are arriving now. It's getting that time after work when they arrive, so I'm not going to be able to move around too much longer. So I've come downstream into a swim that I know contains fish. I actually primed it a couple of hours ago with a couple of handfuls of pellet. So I'm going to drop a bait down there and probably give it a little bit longer, because if I go upstream now, I never know if I'm dropping in swims other people have been in, and that's pretty much a recipe for disaster. You need to be the first one in the swim. I'm going to run through my rig as well, and the tackle I'm using. I'm using a barbel rod here, 12-foot barbel rod. It's a 125 test curve. And I've got a reel with 10-pound line on. Now that 10-pound line it's Gardner Hydra Flow, and it normally breaks more like 14 pounds. So 12 pound is probably a good line strength. I've set my clutch, as you can see. I've got to give that a good yank. One of the main fallbacks or people lose fishes, they don't set their clutches either too loose or too hard. You've got to make sure it's set right. I simply do it by putting a hook in my rucksack, walking away, putting a bend in my rod until the clutch goes. Obviously, you know, you will know then the bend in your rod, that's too tight or that's too slack, and just tighten up accordingly. Gives you a good starting point. And you've got, as I said, you've got to trust your tackle, whether it's a £1.5 barbel like I caught earlier or a 15-pound barbel. They're all going to test your tackle to a limit, especially them about £7. Again, £10 main line, 10 or 12. I've got a 1 ounce or 1.1 ounce little gripper lead, and as you can see, that's running. The reason I've got it running is it gives me all the little knocks and liners and chub pulls. It tells me what's in the swim as well as crayfish. A little quick change bead there, and then I've got a hook link there, you know, quite a long hook link here because this swim means I want to get it under the trees, so I'm using a slightly longer hook link than the normal 12 inches. This one's, you know, 18-20 inches. It's £10 sink braid. It's just a lovely thin braid. It just sits on the deck, and I've got a Nash size 8 fang gaper on there and a small boilie there with a bait stop, and that's it. And I'm going to put some scalded pellet around the lead and just carefully drop that in on the surface, let it go until it hits the bottom. You'll see the line shoot across the surface. As soon as it stops, click over the bail arm, put your rod down, get a tiny little, you know, bend in the rod tip, and then just wait. Sooner or later that bite will come. In my kind of light experience, the first 5 minutes in a swim is the best. If you're sat in there for 30 minutes, the chances are there's not a hungry fish in. It's time to get up, move to the next actual swim. So keep moving about, go find them, because on the Loddon nowadays, they ain't going to come to you. With people arriving, I'm going to have to sit in a swim for a little bit longer than I would normally. So what I'm going to do, instead of holding the rod, I've just put this little backrest in, and as you can see, the rod is really stable there. So if I'm not going to be able to put my hand on the rod, or if I go for a cup of coffee and the rod goes, there's no way this rod can get towed in. All it's going to do is the rod tip's going to go around and pull the hook into that barbel's mouth a little bit firmer and also slow it down. So, you know, I pretty much forget about front rod rests. I lay them on the ground, try and get the rod tip down and just secure it in there. Very important. If you don't, chances are you can look away and your rod can be in the river. Here we go. I primed this swim a little while ago, straight in there, and there's some chub in there, and as you can see I've got a bit of a decent chub here. It's not biting much. Not a bad chub for this time of year. Look at the size of the gob on that. Yeah, almost go straight in. Get the net under him in this flow. Well, there you have it. Nice chub caught on the barbel rig, the pellet lead. I literally primed this swim earlier, and then as soon as I knew people were arriving, I thought it's time to get down there. They've got some confidence. There might be a barbel get in between the chub, but obviously straight in, rod tip straight away. I knew there was chub there, no crayfish. That's how quick she came. So you've got to understand, when you drop that bait in, there's a hungry fish about, be ready, because I reckon that was 2 minutes and the barbel pretty much was for about 30 seconds. More actual swims you cover, the more fish you're going to catch. So time to get this one back. Well, that's the end of that short session on the River Loddon. I got here at 1 o'clock, there was nobody here. I've moved around, done 8 swims I think it is now, 8 swims in total. Had 3 chances, lost a small chub, caught that chub probably £3 plus, and that really small barbel, which, you know, although it's not the biggest, if I can catch the smallest, the next bite, you know, it might be the biggest. I've got a lot of double figure barbel up here, you know, so you just got to play the numbers game and you've got to get as many bites as you can. The pellet lead, brilliant actual method. You just got to keep moving around. All my bites came pretty much within a couple of minutes of dropping it in a swim, so keep moving, you know, and the more you move, the more bites you get. Hope you enjoyed the video. Catch you next time.